The Rated R Superstar. What's happening, Edge?
How you doing, man?
Doing all right. Thanks for taking time to chop it up a little bit with us in Fresno here for a second.
No problem.
So first of all, what can we expect from Edge specifically on Friday Night SmackDown this week?
Well, I'll be up to some dastardly deeds, that's for sure. But that's the thing. I mean, we don't have an off season, so we just, keep going and keep going and keep going. So our stuff, it changed much even week to week. So it makes it exciting, as a fan. But a lot of times I don't know who I'm going to be fighting. I don't know what I'm going to be doing, but I know I'll make sure it's something good. Lately, it seems, a lot of these younger guys are wrestling like John Morrison and R-Truth and guys like that, which would be fun for me just because it's a whole new crop of guys to try and get in there with and show them that the old guy can still move pretty quick.
Man, well, I'm totally glad you brought that up, man, because I totally can't have a conversation with Edge without bringing up the match you had with John Morrison last week, man.
Cool.
And I'm sure you've heard tons of feedback from it, man. But seriously, for being a SmackDown match, non-pay-per-view, no stipulation match, man, that was got to be one of the best 5-star matches I've seen personally on SmackDown in a long time, man. Have you got a lot of feedback from that match?
I did get some feedback. I got a lot of texts after the match, and usually if I get a text, from my friends after the match, I know that it turned out pretty good. And I was very happy with it, especially considering it was the first time that I had a wrestle, period.
Oh, you still there?
Yeah.
Kind of losing
my
the
cell
phone.
phone, I guess. Hello?
You must be on that ghetto wireless plan.
No, it's a Canadian one, so that will explain it.
All right. We'll do the best with what we got right here. But yeah, man.
Okay.
So
any better now?
Yeah, you're good.
Sorry?
Maybe you could jump up on your roof, maybe get a better signal.
see if that helps any. Yeah, here, I'll turn the TV down too out here. I was in my office, so maybe that's why. Who knows?
That's all good. All right, well, let's talk about some of the other cats that you've had. Obviously, John Morrison, you just seen it on screen. You had a lot of chemistry with him, man. Is there anybody else, not just maybe on the SmackDown roster, but anyone in recent history that you've had really the most chemistry with that you could just, at the drop of a dime, have a great match with?
I know anytime with Jericho, anytime with Jeff Hardy, anytime with Rey Mysterio, and CM Punk, and I'm naming guys that are all on SmackDown. Yeah. But if you look at Raw, Orton, Cena, I can get in there with those guys, and just I know it's going to be good. A couple of weeks ago, I had Ray on SmackDown, and we had like a 3-segment, 25-minute match. Yeah. It was just so much fun. It really, as a performer, was just a lot of fun to be in there with a guy like that. And last week to be in there with Morrison and just, see where it was at and see where he was at and try and get a good match for people to go, okay, this kid's got something. He's going to be around for a while. He's going to be a player. So two completely different sets of challenges, and both of them, really fun as a performer to get in there and do.
Well, you dropped a lot of names right now, kind of along those same lines. Is there anybody really that you haven't had a chance to work with that you'd absolutely love to get in the ring with?
I've kind of by now I've really wrestled everyone at least once. I always love getting in there with Undertaker. That might be the ultimate guy that I've had the ultimate chemistry with for me. And I know he'll be getting ready to come back soon, so that's always something I can go to. I look at the rosters, and it's a lot of fun because there's guys that I haven't had a long history with that I know I could, and there's guys that, I've wrestled hundreds of times like Jeff, and each time I do, it feels like it's brand new every time we wrestle.
Man, well, that's got to be a good feeling. And kind of speaking of cats that you've had a history with and someone on another brand, ECW brand specifically, when's the inevitable going to happen, Edge? When are we going to see a potential Edge and Christian reunion?
I don't know. I really don't. I'd like for it to, and I think at some point it has to happen, whether it's against each other or whether it's teaming. Right. I think it's still fresh enough in our audience's minds that it would still mean something. We do have a lot more kids now that might not remember it, but I think enough guys like you and me are still in the crowd that could buzz the kids on it and kind of explain what Edge and Christian is all about. Yeah. Sorry, that's one of my dogs barking. But I'd love to do it, and speaking of ECW, I'd love to get in there with actually two of my favorite guys right now, and going back to the first question before this, I think Tyson Kidd and Evan Bourne are two guys that I would love to get in there with and just really just try and tear it down for about half an hour or so.
I can totally see that happening, man. And you know what? I just had to bring up the Edge and Christian thing because it's totally top of mind, and you've obviously established yourself as a hugely successful single star. But just from watching the extras on your DVD, A Decade of Decadence, and then I got a chance, actually yesterday, to watch the Allied Powers, the World's Greatest Tag Teams DVD, and it had an Edge and Christian segment. And it's like, man, it just makes me miss that side of Edge. I mean, the rated R superstar Edge is dynamite, but there is that little piece of Edge, that funny Edge that we all used to love to cheer for, man, that I just kind of miss a little bit.
Well, and it was fun to do, too. I mean, it's fun to act like an idiot and a goof, and that's really how Christian and I are. I mean, when we get around each other, that's how we play off of each other. So I think eventually, you'll see it again. And it's cool to be able to kind of have, a bunch of different facets to your character. So it's fun to be able to, be the serious, slimy, mean, evil, but also have the goofy side too. So I don't know if it'd be anytime soon, but I think it's got to happen eventually.
Yeah. Well, kind of along those lines too, have you noticed that at live events that you've been kind of receiving a little fewer boos than you have recently, especially after you dumped Vicky Guerrero on TV?
Well, there's a little bit of a groundswell. I'm starting to feel it a little bit where, I think a lot of it, too, is just tenure. When you're around for a long time, eventually the people go, he's been around for a long time and been in some pretty, hellacious matches. And when you start to kind of get that on your resume, it gets harder and harder for the people to boo you. And I think that's what Shawn Michaels ran into. That's what Undertaker ran into. And that's when you get to a certain point, not that I'm, in their league or anything, but once you get to a certain point after a lot of time and a lot of matches that have entertained people, it becomes harder and harder for them to boo you. And that's kind of been my challenge now for the last little while, is to keep them booing me. But I think Jericho's going through the same thing right now. But, we'll see. It's fun. To try and keep them guessing and keep them booing.
It's a blessing and a curse to be that good, right?
Well, I don't know about that, but
hey, well, it's true. You have been, especially recently, you've been in a lot of brutal matches. Just on a personal note, I mean, not just recently, a couple last weeks on SmackDown, but going as far as Extreme Rules and Judgment Day and Backlash. You've been in some pretty heavy duty matches, man. How's your health holding up? How banged up are you right now?
Not too bad. The last man standing with Cena was pretty physical, but the Extreme Rules with Jeff, the ladder match, that one really took it out of me. 10 years ago, if we did that match, maybe in a few days we would have felt a lot better. Yeah. We were 10 years younger, though. Now, it took me almost a full week before I could kind of walk upright. It was. Wow. It took a while to recuperate from that one, and we had SmackDown the following Tuesday, right after the pay-per-view, a day after, basically, and, man, Jeff and I had a match. It was 25 minutes long, and both him and I, we could barely walk, and thankfully the commentators mentioned that on commentary, because we were moving pretty slow. What you saw in that match was real.
And it looked it. I don't know if you can find anybody that wasn't 100% emotionally invested in that match, man. It was a dynamite matchup.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. It was slower for a reason.
All right, Edge. Well, I know you got limited time, but we definitely have to let Fresno know what they could expect from Edge and the entire SmackDown roster. It is going to be actually the SmackDown after a pay-per-view this time, too. It's going to be next Tuesday in Fresno, right after the Bash. So what can they expect from you and the entire roster that day? Well,
from SmackDown right now, man, I'm proud to say that I really do believe that we're the strongest wrestling show that you're going to see on TV right now. I truly believe that. I think our roster is it's strong, it's deep, but it's also completely different. All of the guys on our show have a completely different style than the other guy. You got Rey Mysterio, you got John Morrison, you got CM Punk, Jeff Hardy, R-Truth. You got guys like that, and then flip side of the coin, you got myself, Chris Jericho. It's just so many guys that you can intersperse and interchange, and it really makes for a fun show to watch and to be a part of, too. I'm really happy with this show. You get Undertaker and Kane back, and look out.
Cool. Edge, thank you very much for the time, and good luck on SmackDown, and we'll see you on Tuesday in Fresno.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, man.
Have a good one.